Thanks for tuning into Border City Rock Talk, where you get great interviews with great interviewees and sometimes a comedic touch. I've got a savage Canadian, actually, Daniel Cleland. How are you doing, Daniel?
I'm doing well, sir. Thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Sir, don't age me. Hey, it's all good, man. So, you've had a bit of a break in the Sepultura, just got sidelined, but the good news for your fans and viewers is that it looks like you will be reconnecting with them later in the fall, probably. Tell us what just happened, because I was under the understanding that, and I think it was the 13th, you're supposed to hook up with them.
Yeah, that was the plan. We had a few dates scheduled with Sepultura in Mexico, but I think it was like about a week ago, maybe 8 or 9 days ago, they were playing they're playing in Texas. I think it was El Paso, and they were on the break in between songs. So like in between sets. So like they play a full headlining set, like a 2-hour set. And they had a short break in between songs. And Eloy Casagrande, the drummer, like he's a beast. I mean, he's amazing.
Yeah.
He went to step off the stage and he fell and he broke his fibula and his tibia just below the knee. So he got taken out of commission instantaneously. And so they canceled the following night, which I think was in Dallas. Like they outright canceled the show. And then they had like 3 or 4 additional dates in their U.S. tour before they were supposedly coming to Mexico with us. And like there was like some other bands too. I think they're playing like 5 or 6 dates in total in Mexico. We had 3 of them. So yeah, they managed to get a dude. I forget his name, but he plays in the band Angra, which is another Brazilian band. He was working as a drum tech for Eloy. And so he jumped in. He clearly knew the songs because he was working with them. Yeah. And he jumped in to kind of fill the gap in their US tour, but they pushed the rest of their dates until after they get back from their original schedule. And they actually, it's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. They're trying to squeeze in the dates that they were supposed to be playing with us and some other bands in Mexico, and I think some other dates as well. So we're waiting. This week we'll have like final confirmation on dates, but we've been getting like a late September, early October timeframe. We've had a couple of potential like hard dates come through. So like between September 28th and like October 10th is probably when we're going to be playing with Sepultura in Mexico. So the tour is still on. It's just postponed. Eloy is going to take like a 6-week break in Mexico to let his leg recover. Yeah. Looking at the breaks, he's probably going to have like some, rods and nails and stuff put in there, but he'll be fine. And he'll come back and he's going to crush it. And, I got to see them on March 26th in Fort Lauderdale. I happened to be up there for a business conference, and I went to see them, and they were absolutely on fire. Like you could tell that, I was paying close attention to their whole tour, starting from when they opened the tour in Brazil. And like every single show they've been playing has been just wall to wall with people just losing it, mosh pits, everybody singing their favorite songs, everybody having a great time. And so I went to one of their shows in Fort Lauderdale, and it was absolutely amazing. So I was very, very excited to go and share the stage with them. And I was extremely disappointed to not be able to do that. But, it is what it is. It's like a freak accident that nobody could have anticipated, and guaranteed they don't want to have to postpone any of their dates. They,
No.
they've, like everybody else, been waiting patiently for exactly. Yeah. And I mean, you could tell like every single one of those crowd was waiting for them to come to their town. And Sepultura was just on fire on stage. So, they were definitely interested in keeping it going. And they have an extremely tight schedule for the next, like basically this whole year. They're doing a world tour. They have got as many possible dates packed into that schedule as possible. They're not trying to pussyfoot around there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, accidents happen, and they fell off the stage and he broke his leg, and you can't have a drummer with a broken leg.
No, no. Unless you're Rick Allen, he'd figure something out, but
I mean, Derek Green, the singer, when they started the tour, he had something wrong with his leg. He was, I don't know if you saw photos, but he had some kind of boot on, and he had his leg kind of like propped up on the back with a support going from his knee down to the ground.
Wow.
And when I went to see them in Fort Lauderdale, March 26th, he still had a boot on, like he had must have had a broken foot or something, or some kind of an ankle injury. He still had the boot on, but he had lost the prosthetic lower leg that he was using in Brazil. Like if you look at some of those concert photos in Brazil, he was on stage singing with almost like what looked like a prosthetic leg, except of course he still had his leg. It was just kind of held up at the back.
Yeah.
So anyways, some guys can pull it off, but a drummer, when you're in Sepultura, you get a broken leg, you're out of commission.
No, they're going to have to start putting up rails. I like to look what happened not too long ago with Vince Neil falling off the stage. Molly.
Yeah. I mean, it happens. It happens. So Dave Grohl, I recall seeing a video of Dave Grohl from Foo Fighters, broke his leg. He kept going, but if they brought him out like a wheelchair, and he could sit there and play guitar and sing, but drums, there's no chance, right? Especially not for like a band like Sepultura.
No. So in the meantime, you guys have a video that's going to be released, or a single. Tell us about that. And you said in about 2 weeks. Yeah.
I believe the date is May 5th. It might be May 6th. I can't recall which one of those two dates we decided on, but it's either May 5th or May 6th. Mm-hmm. Going out with Blood Blast Distribution. It's a new single off our new album. The single is called Dumpster Water, and it comes with a brutal new lyric video. Okay. The album itself is called Matricide. It's coming out in September. We're going to be releasing multiple singles over the course of the summer. We have an amazing delivery for our fans and for people who don't know us yet that we're bringing our music to, and our visual content as well. We have guest features from Gary Holtz on the album. There's a couple of songs that, so we've got some brutal guitar solos from Gary Holtz on the album, on our title track and on another song. So the title track Matricide, another song called Enigma that has Gary's solos on it. But even beyond that, the album itself is a massive step in the right direction for us as a band. Our first album was kind of like, it was our first album, it was our debut, and we kind of tracked out a bunch of songs that we had developed in the past and adopted for the current day. But this new album that we're going to be releasing this year is it's a lot more collaborative in nature, and also it's all new music pretty much. I mean, 9/10 of it is new music. It's more modern. It's brutal. It's multi-layered. We have a lot more in the way of contribution from our lead singer and song. Well, our lead singer, his name is Anton Daruso. He's our lead vocalist. he does write some additional music as well. He's just a multi-talented songwriter and composer. I mean, he's been in the music industry for 20 years. He learned formally in Russia he can play piano, he can play guitar, he can play multiple instruments. He understands how the drums work. He understands how vocals work. He performs as a lead vocalist for our band. But he also contributed a lot to the overall sound of our upcoming album. We also brought in our lead guitarist, Andres Castro. We brought him up to Vegas right after our Mexico tour in December with Monstrosity. And this guy is insanely talented. I mean, I'm the rhythm guitarist. I write vocals and am involved quite deeply in the overall development of the band. Except I also run another business. I'm extremely busy. I haven't, invested 6 or 7 hours a day for the past 20 years in learning how to play guitar like a complete champion. So, I play rhythm and I've got a good handle on all that, but Andres is, he's just next level when it comes to lead guitar, when it comes to his abilities as a lead guitarist, doing solos, and just bringing out the sound of a guitar to completely the next level. So yes, it's awesome, man. And we've got some really good singles coming out this summer. And we've got a great video to go along with our single that's coming out in May. Like I said, it's called Dumpster Water. The name of the song came from a conversation I had with one of my friends who works in the natural supplements industry and is kind of suffering this like oppressive banning of natural products, the FDA petitioning the WHO to ban some of the plants that this guy works with. Yet at the same time, they're pushing these pills that actually kill people and medications that actually kill people where these natural solutions do not. So he brought up that term, and I thought, you know what, that would make a good title for a song. So I wrote the song, I wrote the lyrics, and it really just kind of encompasses a lot of the things we've seen in the past 2 years as a corporate government, big tech, big media collusion as a response to the pandemic.
That's all it is. I saw from the first week on, there's something fishy. I don't just follow rules just because somebody made a rule. If they said walk against a stop sign, you don't do it. Use your common sense, critical thinking, and intuition and research. Well, and I think a lot of people have had a really hard time digesting some of the ludicrous response and actions and just cultural phenomena that have taken place in the last couple of years as well, guilting people into doing things and really dividing the culture around the world. It's not just in US, it was in Canada, it was in Europe. Australia got hit bad. Oh geez. Australia was I follow their politics, and I don't know, you're in Costa Rica, based out of, I think, but here in Canada, I know you have family. We've coming pretty close to a socialist communist country, just the way that they're infringing our rights and they're sneaking laws underneath while people aren't looking. And so you're Canadian, right? Yeah. Correct. Okay. Yeah. So I grew up in Canada, and this has actually affected my own family too, man. It drew a line right down the middle of my family. And for the past 2 years, actually this past weekend, I went home just for, like less than 48 hours because my grandmother died. So I considering the tour in Sepultura was canceled, I was in Mexico, the tour was canceled. So I just took a flight up to Canada and then, spent about, I think 1 night there or something, just to go to the funeral. And that was the first time I'd been home since 2019. It's because
well, first off, the entry and exit restrictions were just something I personally could not accept.
No.
Like when they started locking people up for 3 days upon arrival, I could not accept that.
$2,000 a night hotels.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so many things that were just so excessive. And the problem is, you've got some media outlets that are impassioning some people in a certain direction, and then you've got other media outlets that are impassioning people in another direction.
Mm-hmm.
And it really drove a line straight through the middle of my family. And I've got 3 sisters, and some of them didn't talk to each other, and I didn't talk to some of them.
Wow.
And this is really the first time we were actually all together in over 2 years. And fortunately, in a situation like when a person that everybody in the family loves passes away, you're all there for a common purpose, and you're all kind of respectful of the nature of the situation. So there were no political discussions. There were no, fights or anything. It was just, we're all there to acknowledge the passing of our grandmother. And it was nice to see everybody. But I know some of those divisions still exist within the family. And, a lot of that is just, it's based on these kind of motivations that some self-serving government officials that are working in collusion with pharmaceutical companies that, and the Congress is investing in all these companies, which we all now know, which is public knowledge.
Don't forget the WEF.
There's just so much money going around.
Yeah.
And, this whole thing was like, it was not just a completely sterile and completely indifferent development of regulations. There was a lot of funny business going on, and the fact that the result of all that funny business means families like mine, and perhaps like yours, and perhaps like some of your other listeners, who historically have been super close, have now, just basically wasted 2 years of their lives. And I wonder, my grandmother, a lot of this discourse was, well, we have to keep grandma alive. We have to keep grandma alive. So we need all these crazy, ridiculous restrictions. But the last 2 years of her life were total shit, being isolated in a nursing home, not being able to see her family. At the end of it, 2 weeks before she died, she gets COVID anyways, and I haven't even, I haven't seen my grandmother in over, 2.5 years. So what was the whole purpose of all of that fucking garbage?
I know people that had to use Zoom as a medium to watch their loved ones die and say goodbye that way.
Yeah, man.
Anyway.
Society has become so weak that we can't even tolerate the concept of death, so we're willing to sacrifice years of just the quality of life, of being able to actually live your life and do well and enjoy and be with your family. And at the end of it, what's the point? We all go anyways. So
moving into something very interesting, I was doing a bit of a read on you. I've backpacked Peru, and I understand you've lived in the Amazon there. And there's a funny thing. I used to listen to a talk show called Art Bell, and he used to have a very famous guest on, Graham Hancock, who a lot of his topics were, how old are the pyramids at Giza, and what about these underground pyramids in the Sea of Japan? And then he came upon ayahuasca, which is kind of like what's that drug you can get in the desert?
That's the Northern Desert Toad, 5-MeO DMT. Or peyote, peyote.
Yeah.
Well, the cactus.
I know DMT, dimethyltryptamine, but so tell us about your ayahuasca experience, and tell us if that, and I'm sure it has, influenced your songwriting.
Yeah, well, I think any aspect of your life experience influences songwriting for sure. And of course, if you look at some of our songs off our debut, like Savage Medicine or like Winds of Shit, we literally filmed the video at my healing center, and we had features from our Shipibo shamans from Peru on the album, right? Like singing. we recorded them in my apartment in San Jose, Costa Rica. But yeah, I mean, ayahuasca has been a huge part of my life and trajectory since about 2010. I had a real kind of crisis. I was into heavy metal much longer before I was into ayahuasca. Heavy metal started in, when I was about 15 or 16.
Yeah.
And then, maybe part of my personal crisis was related to the heavy metal lifestyle. A lot of really hardcore approaches to life, and a lot of, a lot of hard drinking, a lot of hard partying, a lot of hard, drug use and stuff like that. But yeah, I was kind of getting to be about 30 years old, and I had a real kind of personal crisis. I actually wrote a book about it called Pulse of the Jungle, but so I won't go into too much detail, but the end result was a huge personal crisis that almost left me dead.
Oh.
And I narrowly escaped death. And I realized that the reason I just narrowly escaped death was because I had some issues that were up top here that I needed to work on. And so that's when I really took a serious look at ayahuasca. And I started working with ayahuasca, and it dramatically and rapidly shifted my quality of life, and I dramatically and rapidly began to improve my own life. So I became very passionate about that. That was in 2010, and I had already done a lot of travel in South America. I spent some time working as a tour leader in South America and Central America in years past. So it was an easy transition for me to kind of dive into the world of ayahuasca. So I started going down into Peru and Brazil and Colombia and Ecuador and stuff like that, really getting to work with the ayahuasca. And because I had a background in tourism, I was able to kind of efficiently start my own company, taking other people down into the jungle and down into, the countries of South America to actually work with ayahuasca. And after a few years of doing that, I quit my other job and moved down to Peru and built a healing center in the middle of the jungle. Started working with the Shipibo tradition, these indigenous people from Peru. There's about I think 30 or 40,000 of them in mostly the Pucallpa area, but they go up to Iquitos to basically work in the ayahuasca industry. Right. So I went to Iquitos and do this beautiful spot just on the borderline of the Pacaya-Samiria National Reserve, and started running a healing center there. Did that for about 3.5, 4 years until I got a little bit older and got a little bit more tired of kind of backpacking around third world environment. Yeah. And then sold that and moved up to Costa Rica and started a beachfront healing center with, a little more in the way of amenities and comfort and ease of access and things like that. Lost the backpack, picked up a suitcase instead. So,
Yeah, I know. It's exhausting to backpack. And I remember when I was in Peru, as beautiful as Machu Picchu and Cusco and Pura is, just outside of Lima, it's so dirty. Outside. But
it's a rough place, man. Peru's a rough place, and it's also one of the things that got kind of under my skin after a while is it's also so disjointed. Like if you're in Lima, you're not driving anywhere. Like anywhere from Lima, weekend trip is like a 24-hour drive. So you're flying, and even if you did want to drive somewhere, the streets are just insane there. It's also very dangerous.
Well, we came down from Cusco. We missed our flight from Cusco to Lima, so we had to take an overnight bus ride, 18 hours. Yeah. I swear to God, we all thought we were going over the edge about 30 times.
Yeah, no, I've done that trip before, and that's that's just classic Peru, though. It's just not a comfortable country, really. It's
No.
beautiful. I mean, it's got its charms. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
You go up to Cusco, it's beautiful. The Sacred Valley is beautiful. Urubamba is beautiful. Even some parts of Lima are nice. Like
Yeah.
Miraflores.
Yeah.
But there's just the density of nice parts to super rough parts.
Yes.
Makes it a great travel destination, but for the type of personality I am and the age that I am,
Yeah.
does not make it a nice place to live. Whereas in contrast to that, Costa Rica is
Oh, night and day.
Costa Rica is very comfortable.
I can imagine. So, do you guys have any tour dates coming up? I know that those few with Sepultura got put on the back seat for a while. Is there anything coming up to support? The upcoming album you said is being released, and you said you're going to put out some singles, and then probably September or so.
Yeah, no. So we're going to be releasing basically one single a month, so like 3 or 4 singles over the course of the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And then September the full album will go out. There are 9 tracks on the album.
Okay.
It's about 45 or 50 minutes of new music. And so I just flew into Syracuse, New York this morning to meet with our manager, John Pettigras, who, we're going to be here for 3 days, going through a whole list of potential tour options and potential festivals this summer and in Europe. There's just, things are really complicated right now. They're just, in the past 2 years, there's been countless announcements of just cancellations and postponements. And that's the biggest problem, is the postponements, because we've been trying to get on, for example, the only country that's really touring relentlessly right now is the USA.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. They've been touring for about 4 months straight now.
Europe has been pretty much screwed.
Yeah.
Australia has they've had some concerts in Australia because they've had a pretty good control on everything, but they have been playing some shows there, but not international shows. They're not bringing in international bands into Australia. They've got local bands touring around there. Asia's been tough. Russia and Ukraine, of course, is absolutely hooped right now.
Yeah.
And
nothing going on in Canada, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, there've been a few shows. Sepultura played a couple of shows in Canada. They played in Montreal. They played in Toronto. So, there's a little bit going on. But US is where all the big tour action's going on right now.
Yeah.
And so, the problem with getting over to Europe right now is that you've got all these different festivals with all these different bands that have been rescheduled and rescheduled and rescheduled and rescheduled. So you got this massive backlog and bottleneck trying to get on all these, few summer festivals that are now they've already canceled the 2020, the 2020 festival and the 2021 festival. And now they're trying to squeeze in all these people in the 2022 festival. So it's actually not a great time to be a new band trying to get on the circuit. Yeah. As you've seen, most of the concert circuits have been the old kind of household name bands with a few, big festivals with a whole bunch of people on the ticket. But it's a weird time to be kind of trying to break a new band, but we're doing our best to get something moving, and we're here in New York. Me and Anton, the lead singer, he's coming up here from Costa Rica tonight. I just got here today. We're going to spend a few days here with our manager and try to iron some things out and basically just take whatever we can get. We were really hoping to leverage our tour with Sepultura to get some, really great tour content and video and photos and do some music videos and stuff like that. So that was a bit of you know, that was a bit of a kick in the junk to be told a week ago that we're not doing that tour, and
Yeah,
now
for
we're just
sure.
trying to regroup and all that. So yeah, we'll, you know, hopefully have some new stuff coming out. And I mean, like, at least we're releasing new music. We've got really good new music coming out, and hopefully that helps the whole organism grow and expand a little bit more while we iron out some new tour stuff.
Perfect. Well, I mean, just keep in that forefront that you got Sepultura. It's just a matter of having that ink dry for September, October. So look forward to that. And yet, like you said, take as many shows as you can get now because you don't know when they're going to pull the plug. So it's kind
Yeah.
of the way I would do it. Well, thanks for your time, man. I'm going to leave all the underneath the description bar when I put the video up, probably in about a week or so. I'll link a couple of your new videos and a link to your website and your Facebook page. And yeah, to a fellow Canuck, hey, I wish you the best, man, and Godspeed.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Okay, cheers.